Clever Elsa. There was once a man who had a daughter who was called Clever Elsa, and when she was grown up, her father said she must be married, and her mother said, yes, if we could only find someone that she would consent to have. At last one came from a distance, and his name was Hans, and when he proposed to her, he made it a condition that Clever Elsa should be very careful as well. Oh, said the father, she does not want for brains. No, indeed, said the mother. She can see the wind coming up the street and hear the flies cough. Well, said Hans, if she does not turn out to be careful too, I will not have her. Now, when they were all seated at table and had well eaten, the mother said, Elsa, go into the cellar and draw some beer. Then Clever Elsa took down the jug from the hook in the wall, and as she was on her way to the cellar, she rattled the lid up and down as to pass away the time. When she got there, she took a stool and stood it in front of the cask, so that she need not stoop and make her back ache with needless trouble. Then she put the jug under the tap and turned it, and while the beer was running, in order that her eyes should not be idle, she glanced hither and thither, and finally caught sight of a pickaxe that the workman had left sticking in the ceiling just above her head. Then Clever Elsa began to cry, for she thought, if I marry Hans, and we have a child, and it grows big, and we send it into the cellar to draw beer, that pickaxe might fall on its head and kill it. So there she sat and cried with all her might, lamenting the anticipated misfortune. All the while they were waiting upstairs for something to drink, and they waited in vain. At last the mistress said to the maid, go down to the cellar and see why Elsa does not come. So the maid went, and found her sitting in front of the cask, crying with all her might. What are you crying for? Said the maid. Oh, dear me, answered she. How can I help crying? If I marry Hans, and we have a child, and it grows big, and we send it here to draw beer, perhaps the pickaxe will fall on its head and kill it. Our Elsa is clever indeed, said the maid, and directly sat down to bewail the anticipated misfortune. After a while, when the people upstairs found that the maid did not return, and they were becoming more and more thirsty, the master said to the boy, you go down into the cellar and see what Elsa and the maid are doing. The boy did so, and there he found both Clever Elsa and the maid sitting crying together. Then he asked what was the matter. Oh, dear me, said Elsa, how can we help crying? If I marry Hans, and we have a child, and it grows big, and we send it here to draw beer, the pickaxe might fall on its head and kill it. Our Elsa is clever indeed, said the boy, and sitting down beside her, he began howling with a good will. Upstairs they were all waiting for him to come back, but as he did not come, the master said to the mistress, "You go down to the cellar and see what Elsa is doing." So the mistress went down and found all three in great lamentations. And when she asked the cause, then Elsa told her how the future possible child might be killed as soon as it was big enough to be sent to draw beer, by the pickaxe falling on it. Then the mother at once exclaimed, "Our Elsa is clever indeed." And sitting down, she wept with the rest. Upstairs the husband waited a little while, but as his wife did not return, and as his thirst constantly increased, he said, "I must go down to the cellar myself, and see what has become of Elsa." And when he came into the cellar and found them all sitting and weeping together, he was told that it was all owing to the child that Elsa might possibly have, and the possibility of its being killed by the pickaxe, so happening to fall just at the time the child might be sitting underneath it drawing beer. And when he heard all this, he cried, "How clever is our Elsa!" And sitting down, he joined his tears to theirs.